What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Tattoo Critiques. I'm Pony Lawson, and you know what we like to do here. You're not going to want to miss this one. All right, the first tattoo is sent in from Tony V.
Tony V!
And Tony, you sent in a picture of Yoshi carrying an egg with his tongue hanging out. Right off the bat, this tattoo is super vivid, bright, and in your face. You can really tell that the artist knows what they're doing, because when you look toward the back of the tattoo, where all the blue sky is, there's not an ounce of skin tone showing through. Speaking of the blue, I love the blue eyes that Yoshi has on this tattoo. They're very nice and vibrant and reflective. The circle shadow on the nose is generally okay. I do wish it were a bit softer or shaded a bit softer into the lighter greens in this nose, just so it didn't seem so harsh. I like the addition of the teal blue running on the underside of the nose and on the mouth just to give it some kind of glow, as well as a nice peppering of highlights throughout this entire tattoo. You know, the eyes, the hand, the egg. I think I would have liked to seen the shade in the cloud in the background also a little bit softer. The gray just seems a bit harsh compared to the skin tone. And I probably would have liked to seen what the nose looks like with some sort of black outline on it as well, since this is the most forefront part of the tattoo. As we go back into where he's holding onto the egg, I think it's completely fine to not have a black outline on there, to actually use color outlines or no outlines at all. But again, as we kind of pull our eyes front toward the front of the tattoo, the nose is the thing that's sitting closest to us, the nose and the tongue, so I think those things would benefit from having some sort of outline on there. Overall, this tattoo's got some very bold, bright, vivid colors that you could see from across the street. But there are just a few things that I would like to have seen done to this tattoo just to help bring it to the next level. So thank you so much, Tony V, for sending that in.
Tony V!
Brandon Torres is next on deck with this beautiful black and white tiger tattoo. Brandon, you did send over a healed tattoo photo as well, so it's nice that we have a fresh versus healed comparison. Okay, so if we're talking about this fresh tattoo, I think this tattoo is amazing. It has a lot of great shapes, a lot of great flow in the fur texture, you know, just above the nose and into the muzzle. These little hairs just really show some nice texture. The GOLDENEYE in this tiger is a really nice addition, especially compared to the light blue that we see in a lot of tigers and lions, you know, that I'm really not a big fan of. But if we bring our eyes over to the healed tattoo, this is where things kind of lighten up during the healing process and things aren't as strong. Of course, we've still got some nice motion with the fur, you know, the way that the fur is still going. It's just healed up very soft, but it is still there. There are parts of this tattoo that I just wish healed a bit darker, you know, around the whiskers, a lot of those solid black areas, in the mouth and in the muzzle. You know, I'm not sure if the artist was using a solid black at the time, or maybe it was a wash, which makes it look darker in the fresh photo. But that's nothing a second pass can't help. When we zoom into this healed photo, we see a lot of those finer details didn't stick around as long. You know, those little details that I like a lot above the nose, they're still there, but barely. So given this tattoo maybe another 10 years, I'm sure they're gonna kind of blend in with your skin tone and almost disappear. Again, this is just something that a second pass, you know, you can really strengthen in those darks, strengthen in the textures that are in this tattoo, and I think this tattoo will be looking good forever. Also, when we look to the eye of the tiger, I think the eye could be a lot more bold had there been some sort of black, and maybe not necessarily 100% black, but just some sort of shade to really make that gold color pop. Overall, very solid tattoo, Brandon. Maybe hit up your artist to see if they're down with another session to put in those 100% blacks. Thank you so much for sending that in. All right, the next tattoo is sent in from Adrian Lie. And Adrian, you sent in a... Okay, so there's no description along with this tattoo, and I can't tell what it is for the life of me. I know I see mouths everywhere, there's a little piece of toast hanging out, multiple fingers and hands. Is that a rat? I think that's Thanos' glove. Okay, so now's a good time to interject and mention when you guys send in these emails to give me a short description so I can actually tell what they are. Sometimes we like to Google search these references just to know a little bit more about them, but with this, I clearly have no idea what's going on, and in the email, it was only a photo. So again, just make sure you send over a short description with these emails. Okay, the next tattoo sent in is from Joshua Scott. Joshua, you sent in this traditional gorilla head with a crown of thorns. This thing is as bold as can be. There's actually a saying in the tattoo world that goes, bold will hold. It doesn't always ring true. Sometimes bold will blur. And I'd be very curious to see how this tattoo heals up, maybe about another 10 years or so, because sometimes with these bold outlines, as they age, they tend to spread apart. And when they spread apart, when you have grouped outlines like this, it could just turn into a big black blob. As in those black lines to the back of the gorilla, you know, you've got all these little hairs that are so close together. Sometimes they heal up okay, sometimes they blur together. Again, I would be very curious to see what this looks like in a handful of years, but other than that, this tattoo is very well done. I think the colors are placed in there right where they need to be. It's got some true traditional greens along with those bright, vivid reds. Some parts went out of the outlines, but for the most part, they put them in there pretty solid. As we look to the handle of this tattoo, I want to point out a couple things that aren't as perfect as they should be. For instance, there are a couple chain links that are skinnier on one side than they are the other. There are a couple wiggly lines on the spikes on the handle, and the diamonds in the handle itself don't look super symmetrical. So overall, this is a very well done tattoo. There are just a couple of spots where the colors went outside the outlines or maybe aren't as perfect as they should be. But thank you so much, Joshua, for sending that in. All right, the next tattoo is sent in from Vela Jr. And this tattoo makes the last tattoo look like the Mona Lisa. It's nice to see a well-done traditional tattoo back to back with a traditional tattoo that is not so well done, so we can really compare and contrast why one is a good tattoo and why one is not. So the lines of this wolf get very messy in the middle of his face, right where the arm bends, and the color is not very vivid at all. As a matter of fact, if we look back to Joshua's tattoo, the gorilla mace tattoo, they actually have a wolf similar to this above theirs. And we can tell that those lines are very well kept and the colors are bright and vivid. That's a lot more how this tattoo should look. It just seems like there's not a lot of structure happening in this tattoo where lines are just placed anywhere and the colors are just haphazardly put all over. The blade of the dagger just seems very weak. You know, it's not very strong. I'm not sure if it's crooked or not. It could just be the angle of the photograph. Aside from that, this blade just, like I said, isn't very strong. One thing that I think would have helped this tattoo out a lot is just making it a bit bigger. So you've got room to play with the size of things, you know? You could have made the end of this blade a bit bigger, giving more room for shades and just making it look a bit more menacing. Whenever I look to change up anything in this tattoo, I just feel like I'd be running out of room because it's not that big. If we bring our eyes up to the top of the tattoo, we have this messy looking black shade on the inside of the handle. That could have been cleaned up by using just a strip of black and then blending that black to the color of the handle itself. I think this tattoo can be fixed. I would just take it to a professional. But thank you, Ray, for sending in this tattoo and letting me talk about it. All right, next we've got this a tattoo sent in from Zach Akridge. And Zach, you sent in this back tattoo that is a mess. I can tell this tattoo meant to look like stone, but it just looks like... I'm sorry, I'm trying to be nice about this tattoo.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm holding back so much. I'm trying to figure out something nice to say about this tattoo, and I'm having trouble. What a bad tattoo. And okay, I'm sorry that you have to be the bearer of this tattoo, but there are so many things that are happening in this tattoo, and I just want to kind of talk about my feelings. I can't tell if the cross tattoo was here beforehand or if it were added later. Look completely different from the cracks on the. You can tell if two tattoo artists did this, and if they did, then you're going to see a terrible completely blown out. They look like they're going to be scarred
look like old cracks. That's a healed crack, but they're new cracks on top of the old cracks.
Would not be happy.
These cracks look blown the f out, but they look totally different than the cracks.
Please look over Zach and make sure he doesn't get any more bad tattoos like this.
This,
but I'm sure your frat brothers would be very disappointed. Please, Jesus, we need you now more than generally some lines throughout this whole entire tattoo. I know these are supposed to be cracks in stone, but it just looks like the artist was on crack. Okay, I'm gonna get crucified for this. This is a huge tattoo, and I honestly don't know if there's anything that I could do to save this tattoo. This is one of those that I would just likely start a cover-up project on. Unless you like it, then keep it. All right, Zach, thank you so much for sending that in. I don't know if this is so much of a critique as much of an exorcism. All right, that's going to wrap it up for the critiques this week. But before we go, I want to bring up my favorite tattoo of the episode, which was sent in by Tony V. Tony V! I chose this tattoo as this week's winner for a few reasons. The colors themselves are strong and vibrant, and you can see this tattoo from across the room. It's also a tattoo that if you were to put in black and white, this tattoo is still just as strong in black and white as it is in color. It's not just the bright, vivid colors that make this tattoo badass. It's the choices in deeper colors as well that complement those lighter colors, giving this tattoo great contrast, and it will be able to stand the test of time. So thanks again, Tony, and congratulations. Before we go, I want to talk about my featured artist of the episode, which is BOLO Art Tattoo. He hails from Miami, Florida, and he's known for his very high contrast, super clean black and white and color tattoos. BOLO really understands art and composition. Composition is very important when it comes to tattoos, as that's how it sits on and flows with the body. And his just happened to have great composition. Make sure you stop on over to his page, check out all he has to offer because the dude is incredible. Okay, that's gonna be it for this week's episode. Thank you guys so much for sticking around to the very end. And if you haven't already, you can send your tattoos to ponycritiques@gmail.com. While you're here, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that alert bell, share this video with your friends, and I will see you all next week. Peace.